A Drink with the Hurricane, the home care sales and marketing talk show that discusses all things growing your home care business.
So, your target customer, okay? Many people who are my clients or who have been to a boot camp know who the home care target customer is. But if you haven't been to one, or you are not a client of ours, like a coaching client, then you don't know who our target customer is. And our target customer is a 4-part customer. Our target customer is a nerd, all right? And you can write this down with me. The first letter, the N in this 4-part customer, stands for need. Our clients and patients are someone who has a great need, because if they didn't need home care, they're not going to get home care. So like when you think, like, people don't just go on the internet and be like, I wonder what home care costs today, and they start shopping around. No, something happened to their loved one that caused them to now need home care, and that's why they're contacting us. Now I want you to write down next to the need this. 5 plus CC. 5 plus CC stands for 5 or more chronic conditions. So 5cc stands for 5 or more chronic conditions. When you have a patient from a home care standpoint, private duty, if I need to get a patient, and even hospice too, I know there's some hospice people on here, somebody who's end of life is somebody who has multiple things wrong. It's very rare that you get a patient come on hospice with just one condition. They usually have several other pre-existing conditions, and then this one condition that's going to be what ends up causing them to expire, to pass away, right? So 5 or more chronic conditions, that's a target customer. So in the assisted living world, kind of tying this together, people don't move into an assisted living with 5 or more chronic conditions. People move into an assisted living so that they can get help with like the basic necessities like meal preparation and keeping the house clean, and then getting social interaction with other people and going on the trips and the sponsored activities, and then, yeah, maybe a couple of levels of personal care. But when a director of nursing or any other contact at a referral source that's a skilled nursing, assisted living community or CCRC, when they get patients that have 5 or more chronic conditions, this is the person that's going back and forth to the hospital. This is the person that is what they consider no longer AL appropriate. You can write that down too. AL appropriate, meaning their level of care that is required for them to sustain life is beyond what the assisted living can offer. So 5 or more chronic conditions is a great need. That is one part of our target customer. Easy, elderly, 65 and older. That's what we're looking for, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. That's the second part of the target customer. The R stands for resources. We're looking for people who can afford private duty services. Now, hospice is different. You don't have to worry about the resources financially, but hospice is also a very difficult sell, I will say too, because just like with the private duty, you get a referral. Now I have to go out and sell that referral on coming onto our services to pay for it. That's the private duty challenge. In hospice, you have to sell the family and convince them on putting their loved one on hospice, because a lot of times they don't want to do it, or they wait until it's too late. And I can tell you right now, I know Megan went through this before, but I can tell you, I'm a big advocate for hospice. Why? Because when people get on hospice early enough, they actually have a better quality of life in their remaining, 3 to 6 months. They're not in the pain and suffering. They're actually, enjoying themselves, and the medication manager for the pain and everything is all taking care of it. And a lot of times, like more often than not, they live longer if they go on hospice earlier. But the problem is people don't want to say goodbye to mom or say goodbye to grandma, and so they continue to seek treatment, and ultimately the treatment weakens the person so much so that they die faster than if they went on hospice. It happens all the time, and I feel it's a tragedy when that happens. So if, you know, from a hospice standpoint, you don't have to worry about the financial, but you still have to convince that family to sign up for hospice services when it's earlier on. So, you know, just kind of, you know, adding to the challenges on the hospice side. But for the private duty, you got to make sure you have people who are financially qualified. Well, I just said the assisted living community did the hard work of finding people who are financially qualified, so everybody in there is paying privately. You know they can afford some level of care if they need it. And then the last one, dementia and or disabled. Dementia and or disabled. If you have a patient who is permanently disabled, they're gonna need help. They're permanently disabled. If you have somebody who has advanced dementia, they're a wander risk. They could be running down the street. They could get in their car and drive away. In the assisted living communities, they start to get to a point where they require more help than the community is ready and able to offer. When you think about an assisted living community, how many CNAs do they employ at any given time? 3, 4 per shift? If there's only 3 CNAs in an entire building that are employed by the assisted living at any one given time, and they have 80 residents they have to take care of, they cannot spend all their time with one patient. They just cannot do it. And that is why when you have a disabled or a dementia patient in a community like this, and they have these other 3 categories as well, this is your target customer. So again, need, elderly with resources, and their dementia and or disabled. That's your target customer.